You're about to discover something that will make you question everything you think you know about reality itself. Right now, millions of people around the world are experiencing identical false memories of events that apparently never happened. They remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s. They remember the Berenstein Bears, not Berenstein. They remember a movie called Shazaam starring Sinbad that supposedly never existed. But here's what's absolutely insane about this phenomenon. These aren't just random mix-ups or simple misremembering. We're talking about mass-shared false memories that are so detailed, so specific, and so widespread that they've created entire communities of people convinced that reality itself is somehow changing around us. I've spent over a decade diving deep into this rabbit hole after experiencing something that shook me to my core. What I discovered goes way beyond simple psychology or faulty memory. We're talking about potential evidence of parallel universes, quantum mechanics gone wrong, or something even more disturbing that challenges the very nature of our existence. In the next 25 minutes, you're going to learn about documented cases where thousands of people share identical memories of things that officially never happened. You'll discover the scientific theories that might actually explain this phenomenon, and you'll see evidence that suggests we might be living through the most significant discovery about the nature of reality in human history. But I have to warn you. Once you see what I'm about to show you, you'll never look at your own memories the same way again. You'll start questioning everything you think you know about the past, and you might even start wondering if the reality you're experiencing right now is the same one you woke up in this morning. So here's my question for you. Are you ready to find out if your reality is real, or if we're all living inside some kind of cosmic glitch that's rewriting history itself? Let's start with the case that started it all. In 2009, a woman named Fiona Broom was at a paranormal conference when she mentioned how sad she was about Nelson Mandela's death in prison back in the 1980s. She remembered the news coverage, the funeral, even his widow's emotional speeches. But here's the thing that absolutely blew her mind. Multiple other people at that conference had the exact same memory. The problem? Nelson Mandela didn't die in prison in the 80s. He was released in 1990, became South Africa's president, and died in 2013 at his home surrounded by family. Yet dozens of people at that conference shared identical false memories of his earlier death, complete with specific details about the funeral and news coverage. Fiona coined the term Mandela Effect to describe this phenomenon of shared false memories, and what happened next was absolutely incredible. As word spread online, thousands upon thousands of people came forward with their own examples of memories that didn't match official history. But here's where this gets really disturbing. We're not talking about vague recollections or fuzzy details. These are crystal clear memories of specific events, complete with emotional context and sensory details. People remember exactly where they were when they learned about Mandela's death. They remember discussing it with friends and family. They remember the impact it had on them personally. And it's not just Nelson Mandela. The Berenstein Bears children's books are remembered by millions as Berenstein, spelled with an E-I-N. But go check your old books right now. They're spelled Berenstein with an A-I-N. Always have been, according to official records. Here's what's going to mess with your head even more. People remember the movie Interview with a Vampire, but it's actually Interview with the Vampire. They remember the TV show Sex in the City, but it's Sex and the City. They remember Oscar Mayer hot dogs, but it's Oscar Mayer. Now you might be thinking, okay, these are just common spelling mistakes or misremembering. But wait until you hear about the cases that are absolutely impossible to explain away. Let me tell you about the Fruit of the Loom logo controversy that's breaking people's brains. Millions of people have crystal clear memories of the Fruit of the Loom logo featuring a cornucopia, a horn of plenty, behind the fruit. They remember learning what a cornucopia was specifically because of that logo. They remember drawing it in school. They remember seeing it on underwear packages their entire childhood. But according to the Fruit of the Loom company, their logo has never, ever featured a cornucopia. Not once in their 170-year history. They've released official statements saying this. Their trademark applications going back decades show no cornucopia. Yet people are so convinced of this memory that they've offered thousands of dollars in rewards to anyone who can find a single piece of official merchandise with the cornucopia logo. No one has claimed that reward. But here's what's absolutely insane. Residual evidence keeps popping up that seems to support these false memories. There are old album covers that seem to reference the cornucopia that supposedly never existed. There are parody logos from the 90s that include the cornucopia as if it was common knowledge. There are even court documents from trademark disputes that mention the cornucopia in the Fruit of the Loom logo. How do you explain that? How do you explain residual evidence of something that officially never existed? And that's when I started realizing that the Mandela Effect might be way more than just faulty memory. We might be looking at actual evidence of something that fundamentally challenges our understanding of reality itself. Let me show you the scientific theories that might actually explain what's happening here, because what I discovered is going to blow your mind. The first theory comes from quantum mechanics, specifically something called the many worlds interpretation. According to this theory, every quantum interaction creates a split in reality, branching off into parallel universes where every possible outcome actually occurs. We're talking about literally infinite versions of reality running simultaneously. Now here's where this gets incredible. Some physicists believe that under certain conditions, these parallel realities might bleed into each other. Imagine if the version of you from a reality where the Berenstein Bears was spelled with an E-I-N somehow merged memories with the version of you from this reality where it's spelled with an A-I-N. You would have authentic memories of something that never happened in this reality because it did happen in another reality. Your consciousness somehow retained memories from a parallel universe where history played out differently. But wait, it gets even more mind-bending. There's another theory called quantum consciousness that suggests our consciousness itself exists on a quantum level. If that's true, then our memories might not be stored in our brains the way we think they are. They might exist in quantum fields that span across multiple realities. Dr. Stuart Hameroff and Roger Penrose, two respected scientists, have proposed that consciousness arises from quantum processes in tiny structures called microtubules inside our brain cells. If consciousness is quantum in nature, then it might be possible for us to access memories from parallel versions of ourselves. Think about what this means. Every person experiencing the Mandela Effect might be carrying authentic memories from alternate timelines. We're not crazy and we're not misremembering. We're remembering accurately just from the wrong reality. And here's the smoking gun that convinced me this goes beyond simple psychology. The consistency patterns in Mandela Effect cases are absolutely impossible to explain through normal memory errors. When people misremember things normally, their false memories are all over the place. Some people remember it one way, others remember it differently, and the details vary wildly. But with Mandela Effect cases, millions of people share identical false memories down to the smallest details. For the Berenstein Bears, it's not just that people remember different spelling. They specifically remember B-E-R-E-N-S-T-E-I-N. Not Berenstein, not Berenstain, not any other variation. The exact same alternate spelling across millions of people. For the movie that supposedly never existed, it's not just that people remember Sinbad in a genie movie. They remember it was called Shazaam, not Kazam, which was the Shaquille O'Neal movie. They remember specific scenes, specific costumes, even specific supporting actors. Thousands of people describe identical details of a movie that officially was never made. That's not how memory errors work. Memory errors are random and varied. This is systematic and consistent, almost like people are accessing the same alternate database of information. But here's where this story takes a turn that's going to change how you see everything. I started finding evidence that some people might be more sensitive to these reality shifts than others. And what I discovered suggests that we might be witnessing something that goes way beyond just quantum mechanics. There are documented cases of people predicting Mandela effects before they become widely known. People posting online about memory discrepancies months before those same discrepancies explode into viral Mandela effect discussions. It's almost like some people are more connected to these alternate memory streams. And then there are the geographic clusters. Certain regions of the world seem to have higher concentrations of people experiencing specific Mandela effects. It's not random distribution like you'd expect with memory errors. There are actual patterns, almost like some kind of field effect influencing groups of people in specific locations. But what really convinced me that something unprecedented is happening was when I discovered the timeline correlation data. Researchers have been tracking when people first notice Mandela effects, and there are clear spikes that correspond to specific dates and events. The largest spike in reported Mandela effects happened in 2012, right around when scientists at CERN were conducting their most powerful particle collision experiments with the Large Hadron Collider. Coincidence? Maybe. But the correlation is absolutely undeniable. And it's not just 2012. Every major spike in Mandela effect reports corresponds to periods of intense scientific experimentation with quantum physics, particle acceleration, or electromagnetic field manipulation. Now, I'm not saying CERN is accidentally breaking reality, but what I am saying is that we might be dealing with technology that's having unintended effects on the fundamental fabric of space and time itself. Here's what's absolutely terrifying about this possibility. If reality is actually shifting, if we're somehow moving between parallel timelines, then everything we think we know about history, about truth, about the nature of existence itself might be completely wrong. And it's not slowing down. New Mandela effects are being discovered every single day. People are reporting changes to geography, to anatomy, to historical events, to movies and TV shows, to corporate logos and product names. It's accelerating at an exponential rate. But wait until you hear about the cases that are happening in real time. People are documenting changes as they occur, taking screenshots and videos of things before they shift. And what they're capturing is absolute proof that something is fundamentally wrong with our reality. There's a researcher who's been documenting changes to the human anatomy that millions of people are experiencing. People remember the human heart being on the left side of the chest, but according to current medical textbooks, it's actually in the center. People remember kidneys being lower in the back, but they're apparently much higher up, almost under the rib cage. Millions of people who work in healthcare, who studied anatomy, who have medical training, are all sharing the same anatomical memories that don't match current medical knowledge. How do you explain thousands of doctors and nurses all misremembering the same basic anatomical facts they studied for years? And here's what's going to keep you awake tonight. If our own anatomy can shift without us noticing, if the basic facts about our own bodies can change, then what else might be changing that we haven't detected yet? The implications are absolutely staggering. If the Mandela effect is real, if reality is actually shifting, then we're living through the most significant discovery in human history. We're witnessing evidence that consciousness, memory, and physical reality are connected in ways that completely overturn everything we thought we knew about existence. But there's another possibility that's even more mind-bending. What if the Mandela effect isn't evidence of shifting realities? What if it's evidence that reality was never fixed to begin with? Quantum physicists have known for decades that observation affects reality at the quantum level. The famous double-slit experiment proves that particles behave differently when they're being observed versus when they're not. What if consciousness doesn't just observe reality? What if consciousness actually creates reality moment by moment? If that's true, then the Mandela effect might be evidence of collective consciousness accidentally rewriting history. Millions of people sharing false memories might actually be reshaping the past through the sheer force of collective belief. Think about the implications of that. Every time enough people believe something happened, it retroactively becomes true. The past isn't fixed. History isn't set in stone. Reality itself is fluid and constantly being reshaped by the collective unconscious of humanity. And if that's what's happening, then we have way more power over reality than we ever imagined. But we also have way more responsibility. Every thought, every memory, every belief might be contributing to the shape of existence itself. But here's what I think is the most likely explanation for what we're experiencing. We're dealing with some combination of all these factors. Quantum mechanics, parallel universes, collective consciousness, and possibly even technological interference, all working together to create the phenomenon we call the Mandela Effect. And whatever's causing it, it's accelerating. The frequency of new Mandela effects is increasing exponentially. More people are becoming aware of the phenomenon every day. And the changes are becoming more dramatic and harder to ignore. We might be approaching some kind of critical mass where the effect becomes so widespread and so obvious that it can't be dismissed or explained away anymore. We might be on the verge of a complete paradigm shift in how humanity understands the nature of reality itself. So what does this mean for you? How do you navigate a reality that might be shifting around you without your knowledge? First, start paying attention to your memories. Really paying attention. When you remember something, ask yourself how certain you are about those details. Start documenting things that seem important to you. Take screenshots, keep records, because if reality is shifting, having documentation becomes absolutely critical. Second, connect with other people who are experiencing these phenomena. The Mandela Effect community has documented thousands of cases and developed methods for tracking and verifying changes. You're not alone in this, and the shared experience is actually part of what makes this phenomenon so powerful. Third, and this is crucial, don't let anyone tell you that your memories are wrong just because they don't match official records. Your memories are valid. Your experience is real. And the fact that millions of other people share your memories is evidence that something significant is happening. But most importantly, start thinking about what this means for how you live your life. If reality is more fluid than we thought, if consciousness has more power over existence than we imagined, then every moment becomes an opportunity to consciously participate in shaping the world around you. The Mandela Effect might be the most important phenomenon of our time because it's forcing us to reconsider fundamental questions about the nature of existence. Who are we? What is reality? How much control do we actually have over the world we experience? And here's what I believe is the real significance of what we're discovering. We're not just witnesses to reality. We're not just passive observers of a fixed universe. We are active participants in the creation of existence itself. The Mandela Effect is evidence that consciousness and reality are far more connected than mainstream science has ever acknowledged. We're not separate from the universe looking in. We are the universe, experiencing itself subjectively, and our collective consciousness is literally writing reality as we go. This isn't just about false memories or quantum mechanics. This is about awakening to our true nature as conscious creators of existence. And once you really understand that, once you really grasp the implications of what the Mandela Effect represents, everything changes. You start to see that every thought matters, every belief has power, and every moment is an opportunity to consciously participate in the ongoing creation of reality itself. The question isn't whether the Mandela Effect is real. The question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? How are you going to use this understanding to create a better reality for yourself and for everyone around you? Because if we're really living in a universe where consciousness shapes reality, then we have both the opportunity and the responsibility to make that reality as beautiful, as meaningful, and as empowering as possible. The Mandela Effect isn't just a fascinating phenomenon to study. It's an invitation to wake up to who we really are and what we're really capable of. It's evidence that we are far more powerful, far more connected, and far more responsible for our experience than we ever dared to imagine. And that, more than any quantum theory or parallel universe explanation, is what makes the Mandela Effect the most important discovery of our time. We're not just exploring the nature of reality. We're discovering the nature of ourselves. So the next time you experience a memory that doesn't match official history, don't dismiss it. Pay attention to it. Document it. Share it with others. Because you might be witnessing evidence of the most profound truth about existence that humanity has ever encountered. We are not passive victims of a fixed reality. We are active creators of an ever-changing universe. And the Mandela Effect is just the beginning of remembering who we really are. What memories do you have that don't match official history? Have you experienced the Mandela Effect yourself? Share your experiences in the comments below, because your memories matter, your experience is valid, and your consciousness is actively shaping the reality we all share. And if this video opened your mind to new possibilities about the nature of existence, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we're just getting started exploring the mysteries of consciousness and reality. The rabbit hole goes much, much deeper than you can imagine, and you won't want to miss what we discover next. Remember, in a universe where consciousness shapes reality, every person who awakens to this truth makes the awakening easier for everyone else. We're all in this together, creating reality as we go, one conscious moment at a time.